Mr. Chairman and members, House Bill number 492 by Representative Marino provides relative to the tax upon dealers of marijuana and controlled dangerous repeals the tax and all provisions relating to the levy, administration, collection, and enforcement of the tax, and provides for related matters.
Mr. Marino.
Thank you. I really should have judged that a little better. I could have slept a little later before I came in this morning, but that's okay. I did get to learn a little bit more about tax than I knew before I got here. I was looking into the House Bill 492 has to do with an archaic relic that we still have in our laws regarding tax stamps for illegal drugs. This dates all the way back to the original prohibition against marijuana in 1937, when the federal government created a tax stamp program that would require you to affix tax stamps on illegal products when you sell them so that they can collect tax revenue. And that was eventually overturned in 1969, the federal program, because it violated the Fifth Amendment. And then in the 90s, several states, including our own and the war on drugs, decided to reenact a different version of it, and it's still on the books today. And basically what it says is that you have to pay a tax on every gram of marijuana that you sell. And this was actually brought to my attention by a member of the committee, who I'm not going to name, that's on your committee, that showed me these are the marijuana tax stamps. So in 1990, when we created this law and all these provisions, the idea is if you're going to illegally sell marijuana, you have to buy stamps, and you have to place the stamps on the packaging. And if you do not do that, you're in violation of this tax law. And you can be fined up to 100% of the value of the stamp. And there were forfeiture provisions and criminal penalties involved. And we are still on our first run of these. And last year, the revenue that I'm talking about repealing and eliminating this tax, last year the state of Louisiana received, I think, $1,900 in revenue. And the market is actually stamp collectors like these, and these are very obscure, and they buy them. And in fact, ours are terrible. Okay, if we had to redo them, Texas, when they had one before they repealed it, had like the Grim Reaper on theirs, and it's much more menacing. Anyway, when I was looking into it seriously, what I originally intended to do was to look at what is the tax structure, or can we set up a tax structure for if the state of Louisiana, if the federal government takes marijuana out of Schedule I, or the state of Louisiana ever legalizes it, can we set up a tax structure first? And then I came across this. So this is not about tax structure. This is about repealing the marijuana tax stamp program. And the forfeiture provisions that were in it have been repealed. There are no forfeiture provisions anymore tied to this. We still have marijuana illegal. It's still a criminal penalty to sell it. We have it on a schedule with all the other drugs. And again, there was a thing where you could forfeit when it was originally, and it was really, really severe when they first came out with it as a way to try to shut it down. The original law with forfeiture of property. Right now, if your property is seized, it goes through a drug forfeiture process, and there are all the rules that have to do with seizing property, and what can be seized. But back then, when we created this law, all of the property of a dealer in violation of this part is subject to seizure and forfeiture. So now, we can seize money, we can seize cars, things related to drug sales. But back when we created this tax stamp, all of the property of a dealer, so if you sold 1 gram or 10 grams of marijuana, a gram is like a packet of sweet and low, without stamps on it, everything you own could be forfeited to the state of Louisiana. But that's been repealed. Anyway, that's probably more history and more talking than I should have done. But this bill repeals this program in its entirety.
Okay. We do have a question on the bill. Representative Ogeron. Hold on. There you go, Representative Ogeron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Marino. Basically, I think you put it well, just basically takes a bad unused bill or law off of our books. And I appreciate you doing that. And I'll motion at the right time to move favorably.
Okay, we do have 2 emails that came in support of 492, and we do have opposition. Gary Bennett with the Louisiana Sheriff's Association. I guess, Representative Marino, I guess my question is, what exactly is the purpose of what we're doing here? I mean,
The bill or what we were doing in 1990 when we created this?
the bill today. I mean, if it's not used and there is no fiscal note on it, so what is the long term? What are we trying to accomplish going forward with this bill?
Well, what we're trying to do is, first of all, if we ever do really have a marijuana, legal marijuana in the state, we'll have to tax it and come up with a tax structure and how to tax it and where does the revenue go. This is a very old, I think, ridiculous attempt to try to tax something that we don't use. The reason I want to do it, the reason my bill is to remove it is because we don't use it. It's not used. It's not enforced. The last time they had a significant amount of revenue that was generated was when one of these came into a committee and someone showed it in a committee, and then they, tax collectors ramped up the sales that year to, I think, $24,000 worth of these were sold. But nobody is, I've been a criminal defense attorney for 31 years, and I've never, ever seen a case where someone was arrested for selling marijuana, and on the illegal marijuana packaging, on the Ziploc bags, were some of these stamps, okay? You'd have to have 28 of these stamps on an ounce of marijuana in order for that to, and it's still illegal to sell it, it's just you didn't send the tax revenue to the state if you didn't buy the stamps and place them on the item. So it's something that we don't use and something that we don't need. That's why I'm trying to eliminate it.
Okay, Representative Landry?
Yeah, real quick, we have a separate tax structure for medical marijuana, right?
Yes.
And I think several people, including you, maybe, have proposed potential tax structures for recreational marijuana should it become legal here. Is that right?
Well, that's where I started. I said I was looking into it. I didn't file any bill about that, and we'll need to do that. But that's what made me come across this tax bill, this tax stamp bill.
I think Tanner might have done that in the last couple of years, and Newell and maybe a few others, with the anticipation that if in August the feds legalize recreational, we should have something in place so that we don't miss out on the taxes.
Well, let me just say this. My bill right now has nothing to do with a tax structure going forward. This only has to do with eliminating the tax stamp program.
Right,
It's not a taxing, it's not have anything to do with how we are going to tax going forward.
Right. I'm just asking for context that this is literally useless.
Unless you're a stamp collector, then they're very valuable, apparently.
Or paying taxes on your illegal income.
Right.
Okay, Representative Farnham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it sounds like the Sheriff's Association opposes this. Is there anything that removes a tool from their toolbox with this? I mean, obviously they can charge them with illegal possession, selling, but does it throw tax evasion on top of that? Does it give them another tool to drive the hammer a little deeper into the subject when there's tax evasion tied to it?
I would love for the sheriff's office to come up here and answer your question, because I can guess why maybe they do or don't want to eliminate something that we don't use involving this, but I would have to ask. I would let them answer that question.
It kind of sounds like back in 1990, I guess, is when this was first introduced, that there was a purpose to it, and it gave another tool in somebody's toolbox to prosecute the drug offenders.
I think it was to try, maybe like Al Capone, to go after him for tax evasion for selling it, but. The most, in my opinion, the most significant thing that it did would had this wide open forfeiture provision which has since been repealed. It doesn't exist in the law anymore. You can't use this to seize people's property anymore. You can get them for not paying the taxes, and they owe the tax, and there's a civil penalty and a criminal penalty for not having these stamps on. But we don't use it.
So who administers this program
The
today?
Department of Revenue.
So what do you think it costs them a year to administer it?
I don't know that they've even recouped the price of printing all the stamps yet that they have. They've got all the books in the back, and you can. I mean, when I had them show me, I'm like, this program's been in effect now since 1990, and the stamps I bought started with number 9,441. So I think that's how many they've sold in all those years.
So would you think the more appropriate time to repeal this law would be if and when the day that marijuana is legalized and we do have a permanent tax structure in place?
No, because this is actually not directly related to being legal, because this just has to do with the sale of illegal marijuana. So no one would have to pay a sales tax on if we left the law in effect. Because this is for illegal marijuana, and if we make it legal, then no one would have to pay tax stamps. This is, again, this is a relic. This is dating back to really back in the 30s when the federal government decided they were going to get rid of it by taxing it.
So it really doesn't cost the state anything to have this program. That's what you're saying?
Somebody's job is to oversee it and fill out reports on it.
Well,
but
if it's pretty inactive, then it's probably not being used.
it's
All right, thank you.
You got it.
Thank you. All right, the board is clear. Representative Ogeron has made a motion to report 492 favorable. Is there any objection? Representative Boyer has objected. So a vote yes would be to pass 492 favorable. A vote no would be to not pass it favorable. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Bishop?
No.
No. Representative Boyer? No. Representative Boryak? Yes. Yes. Representative Bryant? Yes. Representative Butler? Representative DeVilliers? Representative Farnham?
No.
No. Representative Lacombe? Yes. Representative Landry? Representative McGee? Representative McMahon? No. Representative Mincy? No. Representative Ogeron? Yes. Representative Phelps? Yes. Representative Reiser? No. Representative Schlegel? No. Representative White? Representative Willard? Yes.
6 yeas, 7 nays, and HB 492 has not been reported favorable. Is there another motion? Representative Boyer? Is there another motion? Okay. Okay, HB 492 is not reported favorable.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.